Hello and welcome to today's video. Today we are here and we're going to talk about the absolutely wild Daytona 500. And honestly, I don't even know where to start. I mean, there was a lot of things in that race that were wild and it had its moments of being but first I want to say it's absolutely awesome to have the Fox broadcast back. Like, that's so much better than NBC, and you can tell this by like the announcers' excitement about things. Just they're having a little bit of fun, so it's exciting to have commentary where they're actually like, doing their thing, enjoying it a little bit more, and having some fun. Where NBC feels kind of boring, and honestly, there's just so many better things. But it's a whole other topic. Today we're talking about the Daytona 500 and what was a wild race. So to put the whole picture up, you got to go back to qualifying, go back to the duels, sort of set up the lineups for that. Obviously, the front row, Hendrick front row, pretty cool there for Alex Bowman, William Byron on the front. Kind of cool to see the 24 and 48 on the front once again. And then you go to the duels. The first duel was pretty calm. Second duel was absolutely wild. So a lot of the cars in the outside row were backup cars and all those things. Fast forward to the race. There's a third of rain. And early on, things got very wild. I mean, it was lap 3. Derek Cope had his issue. And also on lap 3, the tribute to Dale Earnhardt. That was very cool to see that, all the fans of the 3, all the team members and everybody just partaking in that. So that was the beginning, and then we went until lap 14, lap 15, whenever it was, we had the giant pile up, the first one of 2 in this race, and it was definitely the big one of the day, though. I believe it was 17 cars involved, and it was Christopher Bell. Just got the push from Kyle Busch just a little bit wild, and wrong side of the car to Almirola, wrong hit there. Almirola goes up into the wall. Alex Bowman's in it. I mean, literally that happened from second and third place. Like, the only driver that was ahead of all of that was Kevin Harvick. He was leading. Almirola was second behind him in that inside line. So when it's early in a race and there's a big group, I mean, they're going 2 or 3 wide here in the first 15 laps. Something wild's going to happen, and when you get a crash happening from the second row, like second and third, it's going to be absolutely insane. That's what it was. It was just massive pileups. So many good drivers, good teams taken out. And then the rain came, so it was a wild first 15 laps, but back into that crash, the grass was so wet as well that if you spun down there or went down there to avoid somebody, you hit the grass, your car got tore up. Like Ryan Blaney, he was practically through. He just barely got hit, went on the grass, whole front nose into the grass, and the whole front end was ruined. I mean, he practically made it through, but the grass just said, nah, you're done. So, very wild there. Then we had the red flag for hours. I think that was like 3 o'clock it started raining. It wasn't until 9 o'clock that the race really started again. So, a few hours of just chilling. Not much to do. I mean, I kind of just watched some YouTube videos myself, but I'm sure if you're there, it was pretty boring to be waiting all that time. So then we finally get back to racing. It's about 9 o'clock, a little past 9. A lot of teams fix up their cars, but the race is relatively calm. You have Denny Hamlin winning for stage 1 and 2. You have some green flag pit stops, but nothing really happened. You might have had, I believe Christopher Bell had a little bit of an incident. You had Quinn Houff and Chase Briscoe. They had a little incident, but it wasn't anything too wild. And then we come to the last lap, because again, most of that race, not much happened. Green flag pit stop, stage ending. Not the most exciting race. But we get to the end, last few laps. It's winding down. And you got Joey Logano in the lead, Kevin Harvick second, Brad Keselowski third. It's looking like a Ford's going to win it. And it was winding down. Cars start to come down to the bottom. Kevin Harvick moves down. He ended up getting shuffled out to the back. And once he was there, the inside line started to form up a little bit. You had the two lines going. And then a big push from Michael McDowell, who was in third, pushed Brad Keselowski forward. Joe Logano doing his wild blocking. Him and Brad Keselowski make contact. Massive, massive crash. Michael McDowell goes through. Normally let him race at the end, but I think that looking at that crash, they're like, all right, caution's out. Let's get people out there as fast as possible. The safety crew. Michael McDowell wins the race, his first ever race win. He's in the playoffs now. Daytona 500 winner. It's absolutely wild. Mike Joyce on the broadcast, people aren't going to think of his Texas qualifying crash as the main thing of his career now. Which, that was a wild crash in 2008. If you didn't see that, he went head on to the wall and flipped over 8 times. And then got out of the car. That was absolutely insane. Safe in the car tomorrow. Was absolutely wild back then. But back to this race. The crash. And again, coming back to safety. Of course, that's something I talked about a lot during this race. Again, mentioned earlier. Tribute to Dale Earnhardt. It was 20 years since he died in the crash in 2001. So, safety was the thing that they mentioned a lot of times during this race. And extra emphasis on drivers getting out of the car, being okay, just because that's on everybody's mind during this race. So, seeing that crash in turn 3, turn 4, I felt my heartbeat was up a little bit more than normal. Because last year in racing, of course, I watched NASCAR and F1. Both series had crazy crashes in 2020. Ryan Newman's flip, wildest thing I ever seen. Until the Bahrain Grand Prix for Formula 1, Romain Grosjean's crash into that barrier. Car ripped in half, exploding into flames, him jumping out of it. But him sitting in those flames for a couple seconds, like 20 seconds, and that camera shot down the straight, we could just see the car go into the barrier. After those crashes, I've definitely been a little bit more when it comes to these bigger crashes. Because I was saying sort of earlier, it's really those are the first times that I really seen super, super wild crashes. I seen Michael McDowell's flip. And again, Austin Dillon going the fence. Those are the 2 times that I've ever seen wild crashes. But to see these ones felt like they were another level. Ryan Newman got hit, and the way he got hit, and Romain Grosjean in the flames, those just felt to another level. Those drivers, without the safety features, definitely would have died in those crashes. And it was just like that. So when you see flames in the background and cars going up onto the wall, it was wild. Because the way Brad Keselowski went up there onto the wall, got hit by Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch goes sideways. He gets slammed into by Austin Cindric, I believe. And Brad Keselowski's car, I believe, was the one that had all the flames everywhere. They'll hit the fuel. The fuel somehow got ripped out of the car. The way that it hit the fence, and I was just like, there are flames and cars sliding down the banking, and this is insane. And then they cut to Kyle Busch, and the safety crew was just there talking to him out the window. It was definitely a scary crash in that sense. You saw Brad Keselowski was out, you saw everybody else was out. They said everybody was fine, but you still see them talking to Kyle Busch. He wasn't out of the car yet, and it was just. It was a little bit for a few seconds there, oh boy. But then they showed him getting out of the car, and that was just he's okay. And I was just oh man. That was insane. And I was just sitting there, and I'm just it's too wild. That was an absolutely insane crash. And then, again, to see Michael McDowell, though, so happy to finally get a win. Win the Daytona 500, win the biggest race. That's the thing. That's the biggest race. So many drivers have never won it that have been some of the best drivers in the series. You think of Tony Stewart never winning it. You think Mark Martin never winning it. You think, Kyle Busch hasn't won it yet. Brad Keselowski hasn't won it. Like, drivers like that 3 of them are champions and one of them was one of the best drivers to never win a championship. Like, those are drivers that never won it, and you get to be, in a team that's like a mid-tier team, kind of driving around, chilling like 25th, 30th most races. You have an opportunity to come out and win these races, and you do at these big tracks. That's wild. And I think Michael McDowell could be more of a threat this year than people may think. Because I forgot, he's wild at these road courses. Like, he did pretty good at the Daytona road course. Like, he can do it on the road course. So he might get a little higher finishes. That will definitely put him in a spot in the playoffs. Because as long as you stay above 30th in points, you're in. So Michael McDowell most likely will be in the playoffs. And I think the last 2 years he's finished 25th, 28th. So he'll be in. That's insane. Definitely sort of throws my my prediction out the window of what I said in the beginning, my video yesterday. I said, you can pretty much predict the playoffs is going to be these drivers, whatever, these teams, these drivers. That took a spot of a driver that's going to be higher up in points. So that'll be interesting to sort of see how that develops later in the year, because, again, you're going to be looking at a spot now where... And when I made that video, I also forgot about Austin Dillon. Like, he might jump in there. So, because I said it was going to be Stewart-Haas drivers, Hendrick drivers, Penske drivers, Joe Gibbs drivers, Bubba Wallace will be in it. That's what I said pretty much. That was my prediction, was those teams. Minus Cole Custer from Stewart-Haas. So, I don't know. Michael McDowell winning that definitely shakes it up. But again, I don't really care to talk about playoffs until it's like the week before. It's just very interesting seeing a driver who wouldn't be in it normally in it. That's where it gets interesting with the playoffs compared to, like, I'm not trying to pull some like NBC type thing where they're like hyping up like the playoffs, the first broadcast they do. But this will make it very interesting throughout the year. Especially, again, once it gets towards the end of the season, it's going to be wild. Who's going to be fighting for some of those spots when a driver like Michael McDowell's already locked in? But again, it's insane. Super excited for him, and I don't even know. It's a wild race. So, thank you for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys in the next one.